Property in Portugal has been a hot topic for a while now, and our timing to develop and invest in property here has been very interesting.
This house is going to get knocked down.
Just as house prices began to rise quickly across the country, we decided to start building a stone house from scratch.
This has meant that we have invested heavily here. And today we are going to tell you how much everything has cost so far. All the big projects and the small.
Our build is now entering a pivotal point. We're gearing up to get a roof on, and we're starting to look at the big bills for things like windows, doors and interiors. So we thought it was a good time to look at the numbers and to look at the potential return on our investment. To do that, we're calling in the experts.
There they are.
To help us figure out if it's time to pump the brakes on finishing this house, or are we on to the win? We're currently waiting for a chap called Frederik to drive down our drive. He is from a company called Pearls of Portugal, who we'll tell you about a little bit later. And he's going to tell us everything we need to know about our future and the decisions that we've made over the last few years.
There we go, there they are. Okay. Wow, very nice. Wow. That's a dream.
Basically, the plan for today is to kind of get a feel as to whether we're on track with this build with regards to our finances or not. In short, the simple question is,
if we were ever in a situation where we needed to sell this place, would we get our money back?
Would we get our money back? Has it been worth the effort?
For some reason that makes me really nervous.
The stress?
Yeah.
The time, the energy, the hard work.
Why would you look outside yourself when you have all of the world inside?
And the passion that we put into this place.
That would be a mark of the success of the day, isn't it?
Yeah. Is building out of stone a good idea, or is it just a folly that costs way too much money and takes way too long?
And is it something that we are going to get absolutely zero return up the hill?
So, Frederik is on his way down the hill right now. He's just sent me a text message a moment ago. He's from a wonderful estate agency that works primarily with expats coming into Portugal, called Pearls of Portugal, and he's coming to value the property, not in its current state, but to value the concept of what it's going to be worth when it's finished. We did this
over a year ago because it was before we started building. Jose, who came before, sat on a plinth of concrete.
He did.
And had to really imagine what we were trying to help him imagine.
You say it was a plinth of concrete. Basically, it was a tiled area where we had demolished an entire house and we sat on top of that demolished house. So, I mean, he was imagining...
And said, no, Jose, we're going to build something really amazing here. And he was like, okay, sure. I still can't see it. Anyway,
Frederik's
there's a car
here.
coming down the hill. So Frederik's here. It's time to find out.
Here we go.
Wish us luck, guys. Wish us luck. But before we do that, let's very quickly remind ourselves how far we've come over the last few years.
Usually I'm really brave, but this is really hectic.
If you've been with us throughout the journey, then you know the transformation that's happened here. But in case you're new or it's been a while, then have a look at this. Over a year ago now, we had a local estate agent visit us, our friend Jose, and he helped us to try and understand what value we would accrue on this property by building our stone house. His valuation was very speculative. We were asking him to visualize this build from drawings and imaginings alone, and he gave us this as his valuation.
And we think the price here after constructing the house, it is going to be around 350,000 euros.
Okay.
honestly, when he said that, we knew that moving forward with this epic build would be taking a huge risk. We knew that building our house would cost more than that resale value. Biggest concern?
Money.
And there was already a significant investment to consider, as we'd already been renovating various parts of the farm. So, what next? Before we get on to how much this house is worth and how much we've spent on this project, you guys know us well enough to know that we are not scared of making big, brave choices for our family, and that we really focus on trying to live a life with purpose. But everybody gets stuck sometimes. And that's where Strawberry.me has come in and been such a huge help. Strawberry.me is a platform that connects you with career or life coaches. And what I really needed help with was balancing our day-to-day really big projects with managing and making sure we were still aiming and working towards our long-term goals. It was super simple to sign up. All I had to do was fill in a very short quiz, and then I was matched with a credentialed career coach. The sessions are totally virtual and completely flexible, so I was able to fit them into our busy filming schedule. And honestly, what I loved the most was that my coach didn't tell me what to do. She helped me figure out a personalized plan that I felt ownership over. And then she held me accountable to it, with the odd check-in in between our sessions and making sure that I was staying on track. So it felt less like having somebody tell me what to do and more like we had another strategic partner who was in our corner with us. The most profound thing that my coach said to me was to remember that every day that you show up and you work towards your goals, it's like putting a little stick onto a tiny spark of a fire. And every time you do that, that fire gets a bit bigger. And even if showing up some days looks different to others, that little fire becomes an enormous bonfire. And that is when there really is true power in what you're trying to do. So if you're serious about your own success, stop guessing and start planning. Head to strawberry.me/TheNewbys to claim your $50 credit. Get signed up with a career coach that can help you, and head to strawberry.me/TheNewbys. Obi, don't make a mess. Hi, Frederik. Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming. Sorry about the crazy dog. Obi, calm down. Calm down.
Hello, Frederik. Good to meet you. Thanks very much for coming. Thank you. Thank you.
Stop.
Very good. Yeah.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, great.
Welcome.
Stone castle. Yeah, an Englishman's castle. Our house is his castle, isn't it? So, yeah. Brilliant.
Very nice.
All right, should we have a cup of coffee and get straight into it?
Yeah.
Great, great.
Such an awful life. It's a hard life, Obi, isn't it? So if we were going to break it down to a list featuring the most important projects that we've had, rather than listing every single little project, I'm just finishing off. I think we've just got this last one to do. Hobbit house to birdhouse, plumbing disaster to chopping down trees. Then we could likely say that there've been only really 5 big projects. One of them we knocked down though, so it doesn't really count.
Yeah!
Except it cost us a bunch of money, so it kind of does. Anyway, let's start with the biggest and most life-changing projects that we've done on the farm since we got here is the renovation of this little stone house that's behind me and the extension. I'm standing here so that you can see the wooden extension that we put onto it. This was the first house we lived in when we first arrived on the farm, and it's just a little, or it was just a little one-bedroom cottage with a tiny kitchen, which was the most characterful part of the farm because it was the bit that was made of stone originally. So it must have been an animal shed or something that was then converted into a living space with a bedroom upstairs and a bathroom, but not much else. It also had, where this wooden extension stands, a kind of concrete platform, which was something of a veranda, but it wasn't very usable. And it took us a while to get our bearings. So we first lived in here, then we moved into the other house, which I'll talk about in a second. And then we decided to build the big house. So it became necessary for us to renovate and fully make ourselves established in this stone house. And of course we can't not talk about the tiny house, which has also been a monumental part of creating this living space that we now have on the farm. So the stone house behind me, we gutted the kitchen, we took the kitchen completely out. John lowered the floor by about 20 centimeters. We fully retiled the whole interior of the house. We put in a new bathroom, new plumbing, new electrics, and John built an entirely new extension on the side of the house. That was done with a whole bunch of stud walls and insulation, and then clad in this beautiful wooden paneling. And then we've got an insulated roof on top. It was a big process. It took us weeks and weeks and weeks to do, and it also involved recreating the outside parts of the house. So building up new flower borders and flower beds and new walls and just rearranging the whole space. In the tiny house, obviously, we completely gutted that. That was a manky old storeroom that was full of cobwebs and dead bugs, and it was damp and horrible. We emptied that, we put a new roof on it, we put new floors down, and then this last year, we've actually added a bathroom onto it as well. So now it's a full functioning guest house and our home office, and we probably spend more time in there than anywhere. So in terms of costs, it's hard to have an exact number, but I would say that the stone house renovation cost us in the region of 15 to 20,000 euros. Taking into consideration all of the new bathroom, the plumbing, put in those beautiful terracotta tiles throughout. We put a wooden floor down in the bedroom. We've built the boys' bunk beds. John built that brand new kitchen for us. Obviously, all of our appliances and stuff came from our old house, so we didn't have that expense, thank goodness. But he did build the whole, all of the cabinetry and stuff in that new kitchen. So 15 to 20 grand, I'd say, would be a rough estimate on that stone house. And the tiny house has probably added another 5 grand of renovation costs onto that. So in total, let's go worst case scenario, 25,000 euros to renovate the stone house fully and to renovate the tiny house into our home office and guest room.
Have a look at this space. It's one of my favourite places on the farm right now. I absolutely love it, and the boys have spent the entire summer swimming in our bio pool. But how much did it cost? Answering that question is really, really difficult, and the reason why it's difficult is because it's taken so long to build. It's been one of those projects that's had these ups and these downs, these stops and these starts, and a whole bunch of obstacles and frustrations attached to it. Honestly, we're lucky that we still have a bio pool. Just a week ago, 2 weeks ago, we had a problem with finishing off some of the stones around the top here, and that almost punctured the bio pool lining. If that would have happened, it would have been pretty much empty the entire pool and start again. So it's been kind of one of those projects that's been a little bit like that. I'm delighted with the outcome though, and I'm so pleased that we pushed on through and we managed to get a bio pool that's finished. We also at the same time built some staircases to access the bio pool terrace, and we built another retaining wall out of stone just around the corner and one behind the bio pool to hold it into place. So there's been a whole bunch of structural and architectural and landscaping work going on down here. It's not finished. There's a lot of work to do on this terrace in terms of landscaping and planting trees and other bits and pieces. A lot of at least half of the field is just left to meadow basically during the summertime, which is great for the birds and the bees. So we might just leave it like that for a little while longer. So how much did it cost? Honestly, I think probably to answer that question, we're definitely going to be pulling numbers out of the sky and trying to make something up. But I'm going to try and get as close as I possibly can to answering that question correctly. And here's the math. Mario took around about a day to dig the pool empty. That's about 350 bucks for the digger for a day, something along those lines. And then when we add it up, that's a really lot of money. So it's been a really expensive project. This, alongside all of the landscaping around the rest of the farm, you could definitely easily say between 15 and 20,000 euros has been spent. Of course, we've spent it over 4 years, 5 years, so it's never really felt like we've been spending huge amounts of money all in one go, and that's definitely made it easier. Kind of like buying something on a credit card and paying it off bit by bit by bit. But 20,000 euros is still a fairly significant sum of money. Let's add that to the pot.
Okay, so behind me here once stood what we used to call the ugliest house in northern Portugal.
Oh man!
It was just a concrete block of house. It had 1 bedroom upstairs and a bathroom, and downstairs it just had 1 room. When we got here, it was 2 rooms. It was kind of like a dining room and then a kitchen. And there was an old Portuguese oven inside it. Not a beautiful one, just a very quickly thrown up concrete brick oven. And we took all of that out. We totally emptied that bottom half of the house, and we moved in here, and John built us such a beautiful kitchen. If you guys remember it, it was that beautiful dark green kitchen with the wooden countertops. And this is where we moved into after we moved out of the stone house. And initially our thinking was that that investment in that house would be worthwhile, because we would just extend it and renovate what was already here, the derelict house, and of course what we were currently renovating, which was that house. It was only after living there for a little bit that we got to know the structure of the house and realized that it was just a single skin of breeze block. It had absolutely no insulation, no damp proof course.
House is going to get knocked down because it's cracked and it's old.
We just kind of felt like it would have been silly to keep investing in that building when there could be the possibility that we could be building something new and better. An absolute staple in our house in the summer when we've got loads of tomatoes and cucumbers coming out the veggie garden.
Yep.
We probably spent about 5,000 or 6,000 euros on renovating that house. We didn't ever get as far as putting in a new bathroom or putting in new floors. Yeah, a 5,000 euro investment to see us through a couple of years that we spent in it, I think was really worthwhile and money well spent. But it's no longer here, and what we're doing, I think, is so much better. So the other major expense and big part of money that we spent on this property was, of course, this epic driveway that we put in 2 years ago. The end of 2023, we installed this driveway. It completely changed the access to the farm. Previously, we just had one dirt track that ran to our front gate and back again. So we were having to drive down and then reverse back up again. Delivery drivers were really struggling. And when we made the decision that we wanted to build a bigger house here, we knew that heavy machinery and all of the product that we needed for the house needed to have a reliable access point that had enough space for a build site to be established, but also so that big machinery wouldn't get stuck. So we started creating this driveway onto what used to be just a field. Thankfully, the land really helped us along. You know, the contours were already here for us to be able to put it in. We had Mario and Antonio, the stonemason, come in and build retaining walls along the side of this terrace so that we could create the road down onto the field. And then Mario cleared the field for us. We measured it out, and he cleared the field for us and opened it up. And then it was a real process of diggers coming.
That's my little boy, very excited. I think he'll be... Digger, Crusoe, digger!
Flattening the land, laying down gravel, clearing the space, making sure that it was all ready. And then we had the incredible team of cobblers come, and they were with us for about a week. 4 guys just tapping away constantly all day long at putting in these little cobbles. Each single one of these stones was individually laid by them, and it was a really beautiful time on the farm. I remember, you know, winter here, although it's harsh and the weather's tricky, it's such a beautiful time of year because the light is kind of milky and you can see for miles because the trees haven't got any leaves on, and you get those gorgeous misty mornings, and it's very atmospheric. And in amongst all of that atmosphere, we had this gentle tap, 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 tap of the guys with their little sort of spade things that they were laying the cobbles with. And it was so exciting because we knew that this would be a real game changer, and without it we would not have been able to do the project of the house. No way, we just wouldn't have been able to do it. So this was a big investment. It cost us about 18,000 euros to put this road in. It's about 600 square meters of area that we've covered in these cobbles, and it was a massive undertaking. So yeah, money well spent for sure, but it definitely was a big expense.
Okay, all right, this is the most expensive part of our build. Of course it is. Out of all of the projects that we've done over the course of the last 4 years, building a house out of stone is by far the most expensive thing that we've done here. And of course it is. It's our house, it's our home, and it's hopefully one day going to be a really impressive structure. We've chosen to build out of stone, which isn't the cheapest way to build. It's time consuming and it's expensive. We've had around about 200 tons worth of stone delivered to site, and each piece of that stone has had to be carved and worked into a shape that then dropped into location. We're getting to a place where we're almost finished on the external part of the build. We're looking at putting a roof on fairly soon and solar panels to go with that. The cost so far, I would say, has been somewhere in the region of 1,200 euros per square metre, which basically means we're looking at having spent over 300,000 euros. It's a 300 square metre house, feet and inches right there. So are we getting to a place where, looking at windows and doors, which is the next step, should we be looking at plastic windows and doors? Or should we be looking at aluminium, energy efficient windows and doors? The price point between the two is significantly different, and Frederik is definitely going to help us answer the next questions, the next phase of this build. Do we go super high end, nice and luxury, or do we go with a more budget friendly option? Is Frederik going to say to us, slow down on your spend because it's going to take a couple of decades for you to get your money back? Or is Frederik going to say, hey, go for it. You've got plenty of room to go wild on this one and create something inside that truly matches the exterior of what you've created here. We've got a really, really great team working with us on this build, and I'm super excited and super hopeful that what we can do on the inside matches the outside. But let's see what Frederik's got to say. Is there going to be money in the equity of this build to be able to spend and create something magical? Let's find out. Okay, so Frederik has come to visit us. We've got 1 hour to shoot everything because the guys have gone on break. And it's nice and quiet, no pressure. Yeah. Frederik's from Pearls of Portugal, an estate agent.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great. Thanks.
So grateful that you've come out. This is exciting for us. We've been wanting to do this for ages, and it's definitely something that we did it's over a year ago now that we had somebody come and sort of gauge whether or not this was a good decision.
Yeah.
But that was without anything that we've got now. So we're so excited to chat to you and to have your expertise.
Yeah.
Excited to see the property. So.
Cool.
Thanks, Frederik. Also, since we started building, I think we had an expectation of costs. And if you've built your own house before, or you've watched a bunch of programs about building your own houses, you'll probably know that people start off with a budget that's about this big, and then that budget starts to go into something a little bit bigger. So that's exactly what's happened to us. Our timelines have got longer, everything's got a little bit more expensive, and so this feels like a really good opportunity to take a pause and say, okay, are we currently spending money that we are never going to get back on a house in Portugal? Are we putting money into a dream bin? Building a dream home, but is it going in the bin? So Frederik, tell us a little bit about what Pearls of Portugal gets up to.
I'm German myself. I also moved to Portugal about 20 years ago. My wife is Portuguese. Everything was kind of tedious. I didn't understand anything. Different laws, different language, different culture. Always glad to have my wife, but she always told me at the end, okay, I didn't also understand really the process, and this really was the initiating point or the idea to start Pearls of Portugal. We are a buyer's agent, so we help international clients buying and renting in Portugal. If you're not from the European Union, we can also help you with your visa. And we have over 30 partners in credit, insurance, whether it takes construction, that can help you along the process.
So basically, if somebody wants to move to Portugal and do what we did, buy a property, knock it down, build it, but don't have a visa as well, like me, you are basically one-stop shop, straight from getting off the boat to living in dream home.
Exactly, and that's the advantage with us. We basically cover everything. that is needed. If it's a couple, we're also happy to help to mediate expectations coming. It's not always, it's also a personal step that you take. Yeah. The staff is Portuguese, so they know the market. You're also aware of the pitfalls, the rational pitfalls, the emotional pitfalls, so we're also happy to help with the entire process, everything that is needed, but also maybe to grab your hand once in a while, because it also takes a little bit of a courage to come to Portugal.
We know that there's tons of you who are dreaming of making this move or thinking about it, or, you know, watch channels like ours and think, could I do that too? I'd really love to do that too.
Yeah.
So, gosh, what we would have done to have somebody like Pearls of Portugal holding our hand, because otherwise it's a whole lot of muddling along. I'm really excited to get you into this house, to show you what we're doing, to take you for a walk around and start imagining what it's going to look like when it's finished, and get your thoughts, because I know you see lots of properties around Portugal.
Yeah, the bar is quite high, so I've seen many, so let's see.
No pressure.
Okay, so first question, what is the Portugal market doing at the moment? Is it a good place to put your money?
It's a healthy market, value appreciation around 6-7%, so it's a good investment. If you invest well, of course you can expect more, but it's a healthy market, it's steadily growing.
Another question for you, Frederik. This area, we're about 45 minutes away from Porto. I know that the Porto housing market has been on fire recently. Is that something you think that extends out towards the countryside where we are?
The market that grew a lot in the last 10 years were Porto Lisbon. The Algarve is a place that was always had demand. The north, really around Porto, is getting more and more demand. So I think right now it's a great time to invest.
Good.
So you took the right decision to invest a little bit earlier than the main market. So.
Look at that.
First mover, I think.
Yeah, pure fluke,
No,
wasn't it?
Complete luck.
Complete serendipity.
Yeah.
Good. All right.
Well done.
Should we go and have a look at the house?
Yes, please.
Let's do
I'm
it.
desperate to show him around. I think it's going to be epic.
Me too.
All right, let's go.
Come on. We haven't quite got our steps in place, Frederik, obviously. So please don't hurt yourself. But so welcome to our not finished house, obviously.
This is going to be the living room, or?
Yes. So this is going to be the living room and the dining area here.
Okay.
Right where these pallets are.
Right where these pallets are. One day we will be able to have a meal. But what I'm excited to show you is where we're going to put the kitchen, because we've had some of our first internal stonework done in here. And it's just so beautiful.
I'm impressed, mostly also because of the view. I can really see you guys being here, maybe in autumn, looking at the nice oak tree in front of the house, looking at the valley.
Yeah.
It's impressive. Lots of space. The work is very neatly done. I think you also picked very professional people. So impressive.
That's really good to hear. We've said this before lots of times, but we've been so happy with the work that's been done and the contractors and just the people that we have on site. We are living in a building site. We're living in such close proximity to this, and to have our children around and to have the interaction with the guys on site, it was so important to us that was a nice environment, and we've been really lucky, haven't we?
One of the things that we've got in our mind is to go for fully underfloor heating, like an air recycling system. We're going to go fully off-grid with the solar panels and battery packs, and we're really looking to go as high-end and as mod-con as we possibly can afford. Is there value in doing that? Or would you be more along the lines of, okay, temper your enthusiasm for those luxuries and go for a little bit more mid-range, or they just no value in adding those perks?
Definitely two perspectives. First of all, in terms of value, you always add value. When you see energetic regulations in Europe, there will be more and more demand also in Portugal.
Okay.
So adding this will already put you in a secure spot where you can say, whatever the regulation is, invest in both things, air condition and solar panels.
Okay. There's value in doing that.
Definitely.
We're not going to lose money.
No.
Okay. Very good. Cool. Shall we go and have a look outside and take a look at some of the land? Mm-hmm. And just because for me, a great deal of what makes this property special isn't just the house, but it's also its location.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So, Frederik, we've got about 4 acres-ish of land. We bought some new land at the front there. Actually paid quite a lot of money for that to make sure that we could protect our view at the front of the property. And then we've got this lawn area. We've got fairly mature gardens at the moment. We're planting all the time, trying to make them bigger and better.
And this will extend, you know, we hope that the lawn will go up the terraces towards the house so that around the house is completely green and lush and beautiful.
Yeah, I know in Portugal often properties with more land are more difficult to sell and less desirable. Is that fair to say?
Not really. If you can build, that's always a big differentiator, yes or no. That's one thing. It depends a little bit on the nature. If you have access to a river, if you have a nice view like here, if you have also the nature is completely different. If you're in Alentejo and you have kind of a desert, 2 acres, 4 acres, it doesn't really make a difference. But in this kind of areas, if you can buy a piece of land, I think it's definitely in big added value.
Do you know, because when we came here, I remember, this is a true story, I remember our first walk around with our estate agent that showed us around. Carlos, his name is, super cool dude. Anyway, we were walking around and Carlos we were saying, okay, so what's our land?
Yeah,
where are the boundaries of the land? And you know, there was no drawing. We were walking around and everything was overgrown. We had bamboo everywhere, there was trees everywhere, there was grass up to around about here. Literally couldn't see anything. We were saying, Carlos, where are the boundaries? And he kept on just standing, like almost climbing up trees and saying, over there's some rocks.
Yeah. That's
your boundary. And of course at the time we didn't realise what he was talking about was literally the rocks are your boundary. The entire property is surrounded by rocks all the way around the edges, so it's pretty clear.
It's a stone wall.
Yeah. So we've extended the boundaries a little bit now. We bought that extra land, but it's now pretty clear where the boundaries are. But at the time, it wasn't really clear, and I remember thinking, God, we're buying something we don't even really know what we're buying. And it was pretty nerve-wracking stuff because we were on our own. When we paid, what did we pay for this property originally? It was 96,000 euros originally we paid for the property. And relative to the cost of a house in the United Kingdom, which is where we're originally from, 96,000 euros felt like a small amount of money, didn't it? It didn't feel like a huge risk. So I definitely remember thinking, okay, it's definitely a punt, but to have a base in Portugal would be really, really great. And 96,000 euros, okay, it is a lot of money, but comparatively speaking, it felt like a low risk, even though it was probably, I would never have done it in the UK that way. Yeah. You know, I'd have wanted T's crossed, I's dotted, the whole
we did have them dotted and crossed, but not, you know, we were still a bit like, we think we've done due diligence.
If you would like to build, if you'd like to renovate, to check your dreams up front before signing anything. And that's something we also do help with, to talk to an architect, to see the land, to check if everything is legal, to do the due diligence. And in many cases, it's also well invested time and money.
We're going to do this really, really quickly because the fellas have just arrived back on site. So there's going to be banging, hammering and building going on fairly shortly. So, okay, we've had a good look around the property. You've seen the biopore, you've seen the lawn, you've seen the land, the house that we're creating, the other house and the tiny house that we've got. We're going to be knocking down what's behind us, the not garage. That's going to be a very sad day.
May or may not be putting a swimming pool there, may or may not be cutting down trees.
Yeah.
But we do have a natural swimming pool, so we do have somewhere to swim.
We do. So what are we looking at? Have we wasted our money, or have we made a fairly savvy investment?
Well, okay, let's see. First of all, I think it's a lovely piece of land, almost 17,000 square meters, which is something that is not so available in the market, so that itself already has a value. The location is great. I'm a rather rational person, but you can also feel the energy. That's something that also values up a property. You have 2 buildings, a new building, high end. You have another property with 80 square meters. An office with 25 square meters where you can also extend So taking really everything around that I've seen, you also have many other areas that you already developed. The minimum value you should ask for.
So Frederik did give us a value, and it was a fairly impressive number too. One that really means that we can carry on investing in this magical build and create something very special, both inside and out.
So you definitely have not lost any money in the project.
Now, what we're not going to do today is share that number in its exactness, only because we've learnt our lesson. And this time we really want to wait until the house is fully finished before we next share exact numbers and values. What we can say though is that this house has cost us a fair bit. But it's good news as far as that investment is concerned. And we are so excited to keep forging ahead with building this magnificent house.
And why does evaluation matter? Well, it's simple really. Certainly makes the numbers a lot easier to balance, and who doesn't want to know if they're on the right track? Oh, and no, we're not selling. We plan on having this house in our family for generations to come. Wow! Okay, so putting that fancy kitchen in and the extra bits and pieces is a good smart move. Yeah.
Definitely.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's incredible, isn't it?
I'm a little bit gobsmacked.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's not for sale,
Yeah.
just to be clear.
Yeah.
It's not for sale. But you know, we have poured like not just all of our time and all of our energy and everything we've had for the last 5 years, but literally every penny. This has been the hardest year of our lives financially, hasn't it? Building this house and doing, you know, various other things which we'll tell you guys about, you know, in a few weeks' time. But it's just been so full on, and to know that that is an investment in a future, which is what we always wanted. We always wanted it to be, you know, a legacy for our family, not just as a building, but also as a financially smart move. So that is such a relief. So
Thank you very much, Frederik.
Thank you for having me here.
Very good.
great.